UCR, what's your favorite scary movie?
Hello, you hungry little horror hounds, and welcome to Uncensored Radio's Uncensored Horror. As you can see, we're a dynamic duo of terror today. It's me and Luciferius Luke. I had to give you a horror name.
Luciferius. I was going to say, Steve, is this our first, No Girls Allowed show?
No girls allowed, no bitches,
Oh.
because it's about prom queens, so of course we have to have the real queens here. Crown it!
Yeah.
Crown it!
Goodbye, Katie and Brooke.
Well, they've done a girls only show, so we can do a boys show. It's all good.
That's it.
They did Valentine way back when, so we're taking the reins of this one, as I've already let the cat out of the bag. We are returning to Fear Street this week with our review of Fear Street.
Prom Queen.
Now, we talked about this before, way back. If you haven't already checked out our review of the original Fear Street trilogy, it is there ready for you to go. It's
the trilogy, Bubs.
I know, right?
Yeah.
My vocal stimmer has, created a new trending topic. Let's make that the new trend. If you haven't checked us out already, jump onto YouTube and look up Uncensored Radio. In the Uncensored Horror playlist, you have the reviews for the first 3 movies of the Fear Street saga. Feels like a lifetime ago that we
it
recorded
kind of was.
those.
That was what?
That
what
was
year was
post-pandemic, right?
It was was it 21, 22?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
Look, I'm tired from being so long ago.
Oh, you look tired.
I think what we have to remember, though, is that those 3 movies were originally Fox movies, and they were filmed back to back. And then, drip fed out to us by, not in a long succession, but drip fed out to us by Netflix. And I think we all agreed that they were great movies. Those first 3 movies were
very solid. Yeah.
So solid.
I really
good
enjoyed
horror, them. Great horror and a good mix of horror. So of course Netflix was going to follow it up. I think they took too long, but we'll talk more about that later because it's 2025 when I've just got this movie, and we knew it was coming out from 2023. So okay, no worries. But cast your minds back even further. You were a Fear Street kiddie, weren't you?
I absolutely was. So I was Fear Street. I was all R.L. Stine. So he had a lot of books that I would love to read. The Beach House is still one of my favorites. I don't know why. It's probably not that great of a book now if I read it as an adult. But when I read it as just a preteen, I was in grade 7. Which is 12 years old back then. It kind of was like one of those books that really stuck to me, and I just was obsessed with R.L. Stine stuff. So I did all the Fear Street stuff, including, what was the one with the hand in the
first and second evil, the first and third evil, 99 Fear Street.
Yeah, in the garbage disposal. I better say that for people who are only listening. Yeah.
They could have guessed. That could have been ASMR cue,
But look, no, I loved them all. It was our thing. It was our bag.
I was Fear Street over Goosebumps, so I thought I think Fear Street were a little more obviously teen geared and
little more mature
before I was into going to see a horror movie. I was reading these books, and I have a fair few of them, or had a fair few of them as well, and that spun us off into different directions and different other preteen horror writers.
Look,
it was
Goosebumps
interesting.
was always so like. There's obviously some titles
It's a gateway
in the
drug.
Goosebumps series. Well, there's some that are a little bit more like older teen leaning, like you
Yeah.
know that you would enjoy more around our age group when we would read them. But I found they were for younger. Yeah, like let's get into horror, but don't do it too fast.
We'll do it age appropriate horror, but I think the new Goosebumps TV shows kind of flipped that on its head a little bit. Everything's had the stakes raised. I mean, even good old innocent Are You Afraid of the Dark is pretty scary.
But who are they making it for now, though? It's probably people like our age who watch it. Like,
everything's
they know
definitely...
the nostalgia's there, and we're going to be
that's
like, oh.
that's a big question about this. Who is this aimed at?
I don't actually know.
I think that is part of the discussion we're going to have. So if you haven't already checked out Fear Street Prom Queen, you need to do it because we're going to be spoiling some stuff happening. But let's grab our tiaras and get ready, shall we? It is 1988 in Shadyside, and a masked killer is targeting the nominees from Prom Queen, Shadyside High. Fair, right? Pretty typical 80s horror slasher trope.
Yeah, big hair, chiffon dresses, like, you know, it's all going down.
Bitchy attitudes, you know, all the good stuff that we expect from an 80s horror. I'm going to start out. This review is going to be all over the place, but just stay with us. I think the opening narration was a bit jarring considering the last trilogy of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had the typical narration, you know, like a 80s or even 90s teen movie. Our protagonist is giving the narration. Think Mean Girls, think Clueless, think Heathers. We're getting that narration. We do get a little sting, though, of some deaths from the previous trilogy, which was good to see them acknowledged, because I think that's probably the biggest issue with this that people are having, is that there's no mythos built around it. But the way I look at it, they had 3 whole movies to set up that whole little trilogy, and those stories all referred back to each other. So it's 3, if not more, movies worth of content crammed into a trilogy that works so well. A lot of the complaints I've seen about this is there's no mythos to the new Shadyside, or the Shadyside that we're currently in, because those last ones were all, you know, genre specific, like genre and era specific. Like there was a slasher, there was a witchcraft movie, there was a camp movie. It was all very, you know, had duty.
But they all worked together. Yeah, like you're right.
Yeah,
like
they had an overarching...
Yeah,
you know,
they all lent into each other, and there was a theme through the whole 3, and it all sort of linked back in the end to the same thing. So I didn't go into this movie expecting, it's going to be totally linked to that, though. Like, I was cool with that.
No, but it was nice to see it. There were little, you know, little bits and pieces and little Easter eggs, which we will talk about, because one of them is very important that I don't know that everyone saw. There was some reference to Camp Nightwing from parts 2, 1978. There was some Sarah Fear references written on the bathroom walls, like they were in the original and, you know, in part 3. But this is post part 1 / end of part 3. This is 1990. In between. This movie technically falls in between part 1 and part 2. Because part 1 is 1994.
Part 3.
Well, all of it, really, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because
part 2 was in the 70s, right?
Yeah, and then part 1 was 1994, so this is 1988. So this happens in the midst of everything.
Yeah.
So we probably could have seen a little bit more of it, but again, that's a conversation to have at a little bit later date when we get into it. So we'd meet our potential prom queen, Laurie Granger.
Prom queen?
No, I'm having a shocker, aren't I?
A prom
queen. Prom. Go to prom. Now, Laurie is an outcast because there were salacious rumors that her mother murdered her father at their prom night.
Well, that'd probably do it because, everything else about Laurie would not make her an outcast. Like, she's very attractive. She's very...
She looks a lot like Sadie Sink, doesn't she?
Yes. And there's
I was like,
nothing...
oh, this... Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the, like, very wholesome-looking girls. Like, everyone would like to be her friend. So they need to give a good reason why she was outcast, right?
I think this is... Oh, we'll keep going. But anyway, so Laurie's the outcast. She works at the diner. She's a working class girl who just happens to live across the road in true Fear Street tradition. They put these opposite characters usually across the road from her. Laurie Falconer.
Yeah. We're so different, but we live in the same neighborhood.
Oh, sorry, Tiffany Falconer. I just called her Laurie. Tiffany Falconer. 80s, Tiffany. Yeah. Come on, get with it.
And Tiffany's very rich and very, her family's successful. But, we all live across the street from each other. So Laurie's so beneath her. But anyway, I digress.
All right. So this is what I'm going to say. So we also have her wolf pack of friends, Melissa, Debbie, and Linda.
Ugh.
Which is fine, which is fine. So Laurie has her best friend, Megan Rogers, who I think we are just doing the 80s queer coding is she, isn't she question for Megan, right? That's what they're playing at, that she really loves Laurie, and which was kind of a bit of the thing in the books too. They never, like, R.L. Stine never really came out and said gay. The characters were always very obsessed with each other. It was like a obsession turning point kind of thing. But, yeah. Megan's our alphabet mafia representative for this movie.
I was going to say they didn't really it wasn't just alluded to though when they had her come in very not masculine attire, but she wasn't in the
she was male presenting. Let's put it. She came to as male presenting. But she also happens to be a little bit of a. I think they might have borrowed this from Friday the 13th as well. Obviously, it's in the book. Just happens to be a bit of a special effects wizard, which was actually I didn't expect that scene. I was like, I can't remember actually reading Prom Queen.
I can't either.
One of the ones I missed, so I can't.
I think I probably did read it, but
it is.
Amongst all the others, there's, you read a lot when you're a kid.
There's 51 Fear Street
we used to, because we didn't have a lot of Netflix back then. So we probably read a lot of them, but, just the ones that we probably went back to more often. There's a few of them that I would read more than once.
There are some. Oh, it's usually the ones that you owned. You went back to those ones because you're like, I got these.
The ones not from the school library.
And then I had 99 Fear Street, and I had the original, the first Fear, second Fear. The witchcraft ones. I had those as well because they were a nice set. I had a couple of other of the generic ones as well.
Yeah,
but so they don't really take too long to get into it because. Our nominees for Prom Queen are, as we said, Laurie Granger, Tiffany, and her friends, Melissa, Debbie, and Linda, and girl from the wrong side of the tracks, Christy Renault. Now, that character name, sparks something in there. I don't know if Christy appears in another book.
She's so from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah, she's a drug dealer too.
Naughty. So bad for the 90s. Now to be like, that's you're Prom Queen, bitch.
Well, the 80s.
Well, 80s, sorry. 88.
88. We're in the dying throes of the 80s. We were babies at this time. We were little bub-ups.
Well, now if Christy was doing that shit, she'd secure her vote.
She was very Mila Kunis, Eliza Dushku coded. Dark hair, dark lipstick, leather jacket, ooh. I kind of liked Christy. I was down for a bit more Christy, but she was like, oh, okay. But bad news for Christy, basically. But we also have these adult characters that I think is where we where the film did a disservice.
Mhm.
You have Lily Taylor in this film, and you don't give her more screen time?
But maybe, like, it was more like she didn't want to.
Overshadow.
Well,
All right.
What did they want to pay her? Like, you never know.
Yeah,
what's
also,
all the
she's
behind the
probably
scenes stuff.
I think what we needed and what is missing, because there's a lot of this movie that does feel a little bit superfluous, which we'll talk about. We needed a little bit more of the adults, because if the story was this horrible prom that happened in 77, I think, so just before the events of Camp Nightwing, I think is
It's
what they're
only
trying to
11
say.
years prior.
Oh no, it'd have to be earlier. It'd have to be like
You
60s,
have to
right?
be much earlier. Yeah.
My maths ain't mathin', sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they were they having
Well,
kids really young?
it
Well,
was
they did do that
it
back
was
then.
teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
She was pregnant at prom. So,
But still, these kids
anyway,
at prom now
the
aren't
math
11.
wasn't mathing. That's okay.
Yeah.
I needed a little bit more of those adult characters actually mattering to the story, because we get like throwaway lines how her mum wasn't happy that your mum murdering your dad ruined prom. It's like, okay, fair enough, whatever. I was like,
Yeah. Well, let's explore that,
matters
guys.
when we go through the story. But I think that we gave some side characters a little bit too much. I think the only Wolfpack member that really mattered was Melissa, because she was the second in command, right? That was.
She was like Gretchen.
Yeah,
but
she was.
The thing is, though, too, like, they were sort of trying to, give, because the fodder in slasher films, they were really trying to give them some character, which is what's done well in good slasher films. Let's look at a note you did last summer. Like, if you give them a reason to like them, even if they're not that likable or whatever, they were really trying here, but I think it sort of hurt some of the story.
Yeah, because there's too many of them.
Yeah.
Because then we've got Lily Taylor's son, who is obviously our red herring, raised by a very religious mother, doesn't approve of what's going on. Then we've got the janitor, you've got the school principal, you've got all those girls' boyfriends, you've got Laurie's mom, you've got Tiffany's parents. It's like there's so too many characters to focus on a, like, this is meant to be a slasher in out, shake it all out, we're done.
This felt like it was going to be over another 3 parts, but
I feel and this is the argument for Fear Street. Should it be a TV series, not always movies?
I think so, because a novel has so much going on, but it's a lot. It is a series.
The adaptation's a hard one, I think, with this one. That's the main problem. So, and we only get glimpses of Laurie's mum, who is a police officer. I think she was in a police uniform, or a uniform, security, or at least police. Like, she's in a uniform. She works nights, so maybe security. Because if she was a cop, she would have been on scene when all that happened. At the
mall.
But, yeah. At the mall. Hey, maybe she's mall security. You never know. But we are very quickly introduced to the death and dying and all that kind of stuff when Christy Renault, the sexy school marijuana dealer, is stabbed by a masked assailant.
It happens. Look, it's
bright red
now.
coat. Bright red coat's a good giveaway. I like the devil mask, but the bright red coat was a bit of a giveaway. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
But look, if you're going to deal drugs, kids, it probably will get you killed, and that still holds true today. 1988, right through to 25.
I did like some of the cinematography gave me the vibes of, especially when Christy was alone and walking over the bridge and all that kind of thing. It gave me Shadyside vibes. The way that I think of Shadyside is like small suburban town, but it's dark and it's a little bit dingy. Like we saw, it's not a upper crust neighborhood. There's dark corners and like with the book series in 51 books, there's something horrible happening adjacent to Fear Street.
Mm.
So, yeah, no. So, I may have missed it. Do Tiffany and Laurie live on Fear Street then? They must.
I missed it. Look,
They must.
you know
I must have
where
missed
I'm
that.
at with this film.
Yeah,
Like
you've watched
a lot of it.
twice.
I've tried to watch it twice, and yeah, I don't want to give away.
It hasn't sunk in.
No, there's too much happening. Too many
Yeah,
people, as we've already said.
They must live on Fear Street. That has to be a common
Well, it
thing.
would make sense, seeing the show's called.
That's
Fear
where
Street.
the protagonists either usually like live on Fear Street. They have a relative that lives on Fear Street. They babysit on Fear Street. They go to Shadyside High that has people that live on Fear Street. Fear Street is like the cancer of Shadyside because of the fear curse and all of that kind of thing. So
Lose
they
your
are
virginity
tangentially
on
they
Fear
are
Street.
tangentially that kind of thing. Okay. I was hoping that Katie would be here for this because
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about prom. I can only go off school formal, which is our version of prom.
Mm-hmm.
Voting for Prom Queen starts at 11 p.m.
That's very late.
That's very late for a school function.
Yeah. Like, that's usually when ours end.
Yeah, you'd be finishing. I reckon 10:30 would be the latest. 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah, that seems very late. But you know what? Is this like their... I don't know.
This is their senior year final. Like, get out. Maybe. Look, if you are
Americans,
American,
can you chime in? Yeah, please. Let us
chime in
know.
and help the Australians because we're a little bit clueless. We were drunk by this time at our prom.
Yeah.
I was drunk already.
At our formal.
At our formal. But it gives us, the montages that we need. It gives us the little vignettes that we need of her working. Those girls are bitches, though. Look, big cred to the girl that plays Tiffany. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
Fina Straza is her name, and she is a bitch. The way that she waitresses her. Oh, waitress, bring me some extra fries. It's like, oh, I would throw hot oil at you, you bitch.
She was very Melissa from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, you would have loved her if she had some pearls on too.
Yeah, she needed pearls and a little bob, and then I would have been like, oh,
it would be your kind of girl. It's nice. But yeah, and we get that, maybe Tiffany's boyfriend isn't as in love with Tiffany as he is the idea of Tiffany, which is very much a teen moment. And
yeah,
I think a big crux of these, because yes, Fear Street is horror, but it's also teenage relationships and kissing and all that kind of saucy stuff you don't get in.
And maybe Tiffany as well, like what you were saying then, like the idea of her, like maybe she's not all she's cracked up to be. Like, yeah, the idea of her is great because it means popularity, it means being, in the inner circle.
The teen dream.
Is she that great?
She's Liz. She's the teen dream. That's for another review. But we're kind of seeing bits and pieces of the character. I think they're trying to express Tiffany's humanity a little bit when she gave the dress to Melissa, but the dress was nearly exactly the same. That prom dress, it's like, oh, okay, it's a bit single white female. But Megan is, best friend material. And I love the head in the punch bowl. It's just like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, there's head in the punch bowl. Because we have these random jock characters and the fat DJ kid who's obviously like the stereotypical gay kid. It's like too many characters already.
Hashtag fat DJ kid.
Yeah, like it's like there's a lot going on. We're at the prom, they're getting rules, and Megan's already upsetting because, Laurie just wants this day for her to be someone other than Laurie Granger is the big thing. She's trying to break out of that.
Yeah, well, she doesn't want to be seen as the working class diner girl. She wants to.
And the cursed Rosemary's Baby spawn of Satan, because she was born out of that murder, and she's suffering big final girl feelings and alienating her best friend in the process. We're going to get
her
to
best
our
friend
first.
is Megan.
Yeah, her best friend is Megan.
Yes,
we're going to
male presenting Megan.
Yeah, well,
MPM.
Look, more power.
No,
more power.
Good. No, I think that's amazing. For I know that we're filming this now, and in the
in 2025.
Yeah, well, it's probably filmed 24, probably, but I think it's good that there's a character from 1988 that was.
It doesn't feel forced either. She would have been the tomboy character in.
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
An actual 80s movie, but I feel
Degrassi
like
High.
The viewers are smarter now. We know what that character represents, and I think that it's a good conversation to have because gay people didn't just develop in the 90s. We've been here. We've been here.
They're in the Bible.
We've been taking you bitches to prom since forever. Or we'd also like to know like to know how many of you went to prom with a gay date. With a lavender marriage for prom, I thought that's where they might.
Especially a lot of you girls. I know you all went with
you all went with a gay boy. We know. We were there. We were literally there.
It's there.
We're going to get to our first duo kill, which is Linda and her boyfriend. To say they were mutilated is gentle. Like, I forgot that this movie was R-rated until this kill scene. I was going to say,
there is quite a lot of violence in this film. Yeah.
Yeah. But for people of our age, it kind of gives, we already talked about it. One of the most memorable scenes in a Fear Street book is that hand, garbage disposal. Yeah. We now get to actually, and they toyed with that in the last movie. If the last trilogy, they gave us a little nod to that. We were like, yay, almost. But we're actually seeing this, and I think it's kind of a little bit of a representation of what our minds imagine. Because R.L. Stine was great at giving detail without giving too much detail and let you fill in the blanks. So a Fear Street book was going to be as bloody and as gory as you made it. Yeah. And we're all of age now where we've seen enough, especially if we're watching this, we've seen enough horror movies. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. I gotta feel sorry for her boyfriend, though. My God. Both hands off by the paper cutter, the guillotine.
Yeah, Bubs. It was not good.
It was
very Marie Antoinette. It was not good.
And then he tried to open the door with his stubs.
Yeah.
And then the thing
it was like the Sooty show by then,
yeah. Well, it was kind of it was that moment in a horror movie that I appreciate because they could have played it for laughs, but instead of lingering on it too much, we saw his whole face smash into the glass, and you actually saw his nose explode, like as his head like. It's like, you thought we were going for comedy, but not so much.
Which kind of leans into your earlier question of who is this movie for? It's definitely people who read this stuff.
For us,
Yeah, it's not for teens, the current teens. No.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to watch it, but
they're going to watch it whether they understand what it is.
They're not going to get a lot of. Yeah, that's okay. They'll get there.
So Laurie receives some mysterious flowers from an anonymous sender before Tiffany goes in for the kill. As she does. You're a bastard baby. Your mother is a killer. You're a psycho. And that attack at prom is very venomous. It's like, that one took my breath away. For someone who's been known to serve up a few good little dressing downs, I was like, oh, that was a kick to the gut.
She wasn't a
nasty girl, this Tiffany Falconer.
She's not nice.
She's not nice. No. She's not nice. No. But it's now time for Debbie and Judd to head to the basement where they constantly hook up, only to be
Overly
again
sexualized
dispatched
teens again.
terribly.
It always
He
happens
got-
to these
He
sexualized
got a
teens
rotary.
in the 80s.
He got a rotary saw, a rotary handsaw to the face, which is pretty horrific. It lingered a lot on that face that then began to start to slide.
Yeah, no, that
If you
was a
watch
little
it
bit
back,
much.
it was like, oh, okay, this is again pushing the limits a little bit of what is a teen slasher and what is out and out horror.
And usually, like, brought out by Netflix too. Like, well,
Yeah, I'm surprised that they are not pulling the punches. You know, there's a lot of blood. There's a lot of effects which have to be practical, which I appreciate, and I'm sure you do, and I know Katie does. When especially in these genre, very heavily era set movies, we get violence that would be reflected in the special effects of that time. And I think those hands coming off, the face slide was all really good. And like any 80s movie, of course, there has to be an electrocution. They did miss a little moment of the hair getting bigger. I think that would have been a little comedy moment.
like what, like young Einstein?
Yeah, for Debbie, you know, it was all about big hair in the 80s. We loved big hair.
There's better ways to get big hair than, you know, getting fried to death.
Than getting thrown into a power board at your high school on your prom. Oh my god. We've jumped it. I've got to ask you, what did you think of the Americana themed dance scene that we had on stage?
Was that, this is not when they're dancing to Gloria?
No, this is not Gloria. This is the 4 girls in the swimwear dancing on stage.
All I remember was the American flag kind of outfit.
Yep, the onesie, which I'm surprised you don't have.
Yeah, well, look, it's probably going to be a next Sheen order. But
for our next trip to America in a few years.
You know, I get what this movie's doing, though, too. It's nodding to so much nostalgia, and it's fun. Like, it is fun. I got that everything's kind of fun.
Until the horrible murders.
Yeah, well, but I sort of... Like, I know we've talked about this before we've got on here. I do have, obviously, issues with this movie, and a lot of it is there was too much crammed in, and I find like this was one of those scenes that kind of got lost in the chaos.
It's a bit superfluous and probably went on a bit long.
Yeah,
you know, because yes, one dance scene, maybe not 2, because after the embarrassment and dressing down that Tiffany gave Laurie, Melissa, who is the turncoat, gives her the makeup to fix herself up. And by fix herself up, I think she gave herself some winged eyeliner and then went for the dance off.
I'm better now.
I'm better. And then, Tiffany in full Mean Girl fashion ruins Melissa's dress, so she is ineligible for Prom Queen.
So why would Tiffany be eliminating all these contestants?
Melissa. Yeah. So Melissa's out. I think, look, we have a mystery because the faces are getting crossed off in the yearbook as they go. We are taking who is killing all. That was the trailer for the tagline. Who is killing all the prom queens?
I know, and why?
The Gloria dance-off went a bit too long for me.
Yeah, I do remember the Gloria dance-off quite
It was
vividly.
funny watching Tiffany devolve into, like, Elaine Bennis. So.
Yeah, look, I liked that they used the song Gloria.
And they would have paid a fair... There's some good songs in this.
Yeah.
So I think they would have paid a fair...
And, the song Gloria is quite a layered song, too. Like, it's a mental illness.
Success anthem. It's a determination album.
But it also sort of hints at, but it hints at like some mental illness and stuff as well. Like, if everybody wants you, why is nobody calling? Like,
it's very reminiscent of Laurie, so that's why it's her song. And I love it when films get that right. even though it's not a popular film or a well-received film, Strangers 2.
Mm-hmm.
Great
when
night.
they did I Think We're Alone Now.
I think we're
Is that
alone
what
now
you
in the
did?
pool.
Yeah. That was a
like-
great use of a pop song.
When
as
I
part
love
of-
it when
yeah.
pop songs get used in a good way and like that's effective. And even you think of Red Right Hand in Scream, it always
Mhm.
puts you in the right spot, and you go, "Oh, I know where we are. I know what's happening."
Mm.
Roller Coaster in Urban Legend, like there are
And
certain
in
songs
Final
and
Destination
Final
3.
Destination 3 that we've
During a
just covered as
suntanning
well.
scene.
Yeah.
Check that
Yeah,
out
look.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
/
check us
Spotify
out. The Final
/
Destination.
whatever.
I'm surprised at how well the Final Destination reviews did, but I think everyone was rewatching them at that time, so we jumped on the zeitgeist at the right time.
Yeah.
So post dance off, you know.
Is this post Gloria now?
Post Gloria?
Okay, post Gloria. I'm with
Tyler, not Melissa, sorry, Tiffany's boyfriend has had enough.
Mm.
You know,
you. Totally over.
totally
Tiffany's
over. And she
shit.
threatens to ruin him. You know, he's going after the prize, which is Laurie, and they're going to wander off together and have a little smoochy.
Little teen baby. Teen pregnancy.
But this is where it gets interesting because I didn't see this twist coming. Maybe should have read the book. Melissa is recovering from her quite public dressing down and in her swimsuit, which is very 80s. I mean, come on. Having your death scene in a high-cut swimsuit is 80s.
It was very
to a T.
Wonder Woman as well. I was like, why's this bitch dressed as Linda Carter?
And
Right
it's probably a nice comment on Americana too. Like we think that the old ways of life Americana were wholesome and you know, and something to be celebrated and have a bit of, you know, rose-colored glasses on, and then bitches wear them and they get horribly murdered. So
Yeah.
say that what you will with social commentary.
But there was a good reveal during this, yeah.
She has a little bit of a chase scene that reveals 2 killers.
2 killers. And she's like,
I know, it gave me a scream moment. I
said.
wasn't expecting something that
2 killers.
I wasn't expecting that.
And then she sort of saw the second killer, and then she like turns around and then just pop in the head.
Stabbed in the she got stabbed in the chest and got in the head. Yeah. Got a double bugger.
Yeah.
But all
Double
this time,
pinned.
Megan has been lurking, as she does, and she's been kind of catching bits and pieces of things being wrong at the prom.
Yeah.
Which I think is something else. If we had Megan maybe a bit more... Megan, I feel like maybe Megan's character in the book was more emo as well. Like she was more, you know, the gothy kind of new wave
lesbian.
and yeah, like it was the darkness represent, like, because they want us to also think that Megan might be part of it because she was making
she's a little bit other too, yeah,
that kind of looks like the mask of the killer. You know, it kind of looks like the devil mask, the thing that she was making at the beginning that we now know was Tiffany's head. So she's a red herring, definitely, but she keeps catching bits and pieces. She hears the screaming from the basement. She sees, even though she's stoned, she sees the Red Devil running past, you know.
Who wasn't stoned in 1988 at their prom? Sound off in the comments. No, we weren't even. We were Muppet babies.
We were milk drunk, probably.
Yeah.
Milk drunk.
I was wearing a Jiminy Cricket shirt with denim on denim for my preschool photo.
I had leather pants when I was little. I really had no say in what I would become.
Bag.
So Megan is, you know, 100% certain that something horrible is happening to the prom queens, and she thinks it is Miss Breckenridge's son, so Lily Taylor's son, the outward, devotedly religious kid. And again, that wasn't really something that they kind of mentioned it, but it wasn't really enough. I feel like
Why was he killing them? What was her reason? Misogyny?
Well, because they were being slutty, they were drinking.
Yeah.
You know, all the tropes
Misogyny.
of a slasher movie in the 80s. They were doing all of those things.
Yeah.
But Laurie says, no, Devlin is not the killer. And they're fighting again. But Megan will not, like any good sidekick, she will not be deterred and investigates the basement, where she finds the bodies of Debbie, Judd, and the janitor. So
Jinkies.
We are already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies. You know, this killers have been very, very, very busy.
It's probably time now to bounce from the prom because you know this.
You would hope so, but all of this is happening. All of this is happening very, very quickly. In
True.
Time,
Look, that's something I will give this movie to. Is that it
didn't really fuck around too much.
No, and it's all set at the dance. Like it's all happening on the same night.
We've got a few scenes, a few scenes pre-dance, but a lot of it happened at the dance. I did pause it at certain parts to see where I was up to because I was watching it fairly late at night. I'm like, oh, can I stay up a bit later? Yep, cool, no worries. The majority of it does happen at the dance.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. So while Laurie is, away having her intimate moment with Tyler, the killer strikes again. Right? Again, didn't see that coming. Knife through the head. Like, oh, okay, shit.
Did Laurie see it coming?
He's gone. Well, Laurie didn't see it. Tyler definitely didn't see it coming. Definitely. But as Laurie runs, she's a good runner, I've got to say. The girl that plays Laurie, she got a good run on her for a horror movie.
Was she in the heels?
Yeah, I think she would have been in like some kitten heels, right? The 80s.
Yeah, little low heels, so sensible. Yeah,
heels. like a bad drag queen. She's in low heels, She's not on those sticks. Not those sticks running. But she hears screaming from the basement and goes to try to save Megan. They find each other, but then they are locked inside the basement, which was a cool moment. I think anytime you want to raise the tension, because it was an interesting little comment on high school as well, because they know the world above so well. When they go beneath the surface, they've got no idea where they are, where in the building they are, where an exit is, how to get out, how to be safe. It's quite a little cool analogy if we're going to get all film studies on it.
And I know you're going to get to the scene here that really sticks out in my mind was the escape through the window.
We love to smash a window in a horror movie.
But we don't love when we're climbing out the window. What happens?
Oh, and we pierce our hands. We give ourselves stigmata.
That broke us. Yeah, it's very Patricia Arquette stigmata. It's just straight through the hand. And I was like, that bit I felt. I was like, oh, bitch.
Yeah, it was like,
no one deserves that.
No one deserves that. But good tension building scene. I feel like sometimes in this movie we missed a bit of tension because we were too busy trying to tell story. So
this was the better chase scene. Yeah, because I felt like when we go back to Wonder Woman's kill scene,
it just
with
happened.
The two killers. It was it lacked tension. There was just
that one was okay because she was on the mirror and he was on the other side. That was all right. It was more that the second basement one. There wasn't really anything, and then the first one in the whatever room, whatever science lab like it kind of just happened. There wasn't tension. Yes,
my problem is I compare these scenes that they're sort of like we all take pages out of other previous horrors books. And when you're doing this kind of stuff and trying to build a good chase scene, there's so many. It's been done so much better.
And definitely hard.
I still think at the top of the tier is always going to be I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar's chase scene is right up there. But there's other movies where the movie's not so great, but like Friday the 13th 3, great final chase scene with the final girl. Like one of the best one-on-one battles.
When we think about the Scream reboot, the opening of the Scream reboot is another brilliant moment. The opening of Scream, there are
But-
these moments that
But you look
the
at Scream
audience-
now and look back at like Scream, the first Scream with that chase scene with Sydney through like the field and through the house and everything. It was so well done. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just, I can see where a lot of these newer movies
Yeah.
are trying to like get that, but they're just not hitting the mark.
not building the tension because as
No.
I said, I think we have given too much story. I think that this is cliche enough that we didn't need to get to have any backstory on some of the wolf pack, on some of the other characters. They could have streamlined that a bit, given us a little bit more that the parents had a lot of expectation, because this is where it really starts to matter here, that the parents actually care about what's going on. Because once Laurie and Megan escape, they go to try and warn everyone that the killers are coming, and the killers arrive, it was kind of a very Buffy moment that you like, we always get the threat, but this time the danger is coming to prom. The danger is here. And I find they are really annoying characters, so to watch them be dismembered was kind of fun. Claire and Gerald. Claire gets her leg cleaved off, and then Gerald just gets the axe buried into him while he was screaming. They were like the little,
But see,
What
this
would you
was a
call
lot
them?
too.
They're
Like,
the
where our killer's
the surgeon
superhuman,
fish.
like they're cleaving legs off, man. Like,
like
gee.
that axe must have been sharp. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's all I'm saying.
Is it Jason or?
It's Jason at high school. It's all good. But they even cut off the principal's arm. That's right.
Yeah, limbs
like-
are going everywhere, babes. This is
Limbs are going
worse
everywhere.
than
There's
Carrie.
blood
I
everywhere.
mentioned Carrie earlier. This was the Carrie bloodbath.
It was good
Reenacted.
though. Like
With hands-on
like
melee
it.
combat.
I like it when this happens en masse, because so many movies, it happens to isolated people. Isolated, like they're at a party, but they're by themselves.
Well, babes,
very
they did do
seldom-
it. Remember in Freddy vs. Jason when Jason showed up at the rave? They did it there.
I like
Yeah.
that part of Freddy vs. Jason too. Like,
Yeah.
I like it when there's actual fallout and these characters. This is how you get rid of tangential characters and characters that you've given lip service to before. They can get killed off and have a bit of, a bit of resonance. Because I'm gonna just steer off a little bit. There's a scene in the book of Clown in a Cornfield, which Katie wants to review for the movie adaptation.
Do I have to
where-
listen to this one, or do I just watch
Oh,
the movie?
So no, do the
Read
book.
the book.
Okay,
Okay,
do the
I'll
book.
do the book.
Because the attack that happens to them at their party when a clown just wanders out of the cornfield is so brilliantly done, and it matters in the next installment. Like, it's a defining moment, and I like this. I likened it to Buffy, like Graduation Day, when stuff happens to the whole student body. Especially in a town like Shadyside, when the whole town is supposed to be cursed. These events can't just be isolated. It has to happen to people en masse so that there's witnesses and those stories continue, because that's how urban legends work.
Yeah.
That's how stories get told. Well, I know that my aunt was there with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's best friend was best friends with so and so. That's how stories get passed down, and I'm glad that we got this. We didn't get just an isolated event. But Laurie Granger steps up. She is named Prom Queen, and then uses her crown, like her mother before her, to try and kill the masked assailant, who is unmasked in a very Scooby-Doo fashion, to be revealed as Dan Falconer, Tiffany's father.
Not Chris Klein.
I didn't even realize it was him until I looked at the credits, because he doesn't look like himself anymore. Well, he doesn't look like our
He's
version
not-
of Chris Klein.
Was he like American Pie as well?
He was the swoopy-haired
Yes.
one.
Was he like the Suck Me Beautiful?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. He
So
was.
Suck Me Beautiful is now dead.
is no eye gouged, not dead, not dead.
Oh, eye
remember?
gouge. Sorry,
Not dead, eye
gouge.
gouged. And Tiffany is, of course,
Blindly
heartbroken.
beautiful.
I mean, yeah, watch me beautiful. And Tiffany's mother asks why, and he said because it mattered to you both so much. It's very toddlers and tiaras.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Honey
very
Boo
Nancy
Boo thrown
Kerrigan.
in there.
It's very I Tonya. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna take it out. So the police arrive to arrest Dan and comment on the horror that is in there. They're saying it's worse than Camp Nightwing, which I don't think it was. I remember Camp Nightwing being very, very bloody.
No, didn't like a lot of little kids die at Camp Nightwing?
Oh, I think there was lots of cleaving and all that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, I thought kids
Camp
died
Nightwing.
there too. Like,
Yeah, lots of camp counselors.
yeah.
So Laurie volunteers to return home with Tiffany because her mother is being questioned, and Megan's off to the hospital. We got rid of Megan very easily, and I think that was a bit of a disservice to this end, because this end feels really quick.
Well, she had to go and get a hospital gown on, Bubs, because it's the only gown she wore that night.
Oh. Do you reckon she's wearing a nice wig a la Laurie Strode? You know,
oh,
Halloween
maybe.
too.
You know, let it go. It's her prom.
Let it go. Yeah, prom night's the way to do it. You know.
Well,
so Nancy returns home, and shit just hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
She breaks out that butcher's knife and reveals herself to be the second killer. And we get a nice, cute little moment of a chase scene, locking themselves in the cupboard, where Tiffany.
So wait, Laurie, why is Laurie at the house?
Because Laurie was giving pity to Tiffany because she had to go home alone on prom night. That, you know, her father is a killer. She's showing that she has sympathy that Tiffany didn't. And we find out that Tiffany has no sympathy because she's a psychopath.
And she's also
the children of psychopaths, you know.
Third killer.
Third killer. I know, right?
Right. It's getting crazy now. The whole family are murderers.
The whole family, because
it's like the Nancy.
We have a reveal that Nancy, Laurie's mother, not Laurie's mother, Tiffany's mother, killed Laurie's father after he broke up with her for Laurie's mother, who he got pregnant.
And they all blamed Laurie's mother, but it was never Laurie's mother.
Laurie's mother.
Laurie's not from poison stock. It was always that other bitch.
Because Laurie's father was trying to do the right thing. It was
Tiffany.
It was Tiffany. It was Megan. No, not Megan. Nancy. No. That's right, Nancy.
Yeah, well, Nancy was the killer, but Tiffany's
Nancy's
the kid,
a bitch.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitch.
And the bitch gene goes down a generation, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Filth.
This is where I think having the parents be a bit more peripheral would have made more sense, because the payoff wasn't there.
Yeah. Even if it wasn't a whole lot of overshadowing, but they could have had.
No, just have them in the background of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like
have fun at the prom, darling.
I'm going to liken it to the original Scream. We had red herrings that would show up in the back of scenes and they'd disappear. You know, they'd be tangentially in things and they'd disappear. Like, that's how you create a good whodunit.
I know what you did last summer when Elsa's looking mysteriously over from the counter at the shop. Could it be her? But this movie didn't do any of that. When
all looks lost for Laurie, she gets that power kick. She got a kick of a horse, sends Tiffany through the stairwell and impaling her on the falcon in the lobby below.
I felt that was fair.
That was rough.
No,
that was squelchy, but fair. Very poetic. Very nice. Nice bit of guts hanging out too. Practical effects.
It was asked for.
Which, you know, drives Mum into overdrive, of course.
Yeah, Mummy comes out then with the
Mummy
very very Norman Bates. at this
Yeah,
point.
she's looking a bit Norman Bates by this time.
She was, flogged out, man.
And this is where I had, again, I think they lost a big, big moment and a little bit of something because she knocks her out with a trophy.
But I like that bit. I don't know why, but
I'm
just
going to
the way she
explain
cracks
more.
her, and she's all like, like she had an acquired brain injury.
She
from
succumbs to the head trauma. She's like, who do you think you
She had a
are?
brain injury, mate, and it's never come good.
And she says, I'm Laurie fucking Granger. But as a horror fan, as a fan of Scream Queens, would it not be better if they stopped Laurie's dad in a different way?
Not Laurie's dad.
Not Laurie's dad. Tiffany's dad in a different way. And then she stabbed Tiffany's mum in the eye with the crown. And then
probably that would have made it more
wait for
circle.
it. Wait for it. She still could have been all fucked up and gone, who the fuck do you think you are, you bitch? And she'd go, I'm Laurie fucking Granger. Pull the crown out, put it on her head. The prom queen. Walk out
Bubs,
the door.
You should have wrote
roll.
it. Yeah.
Because at the beginning, remember the beginning of the movie was her walking, holding the bloody prom queen crown, and the police arriving.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made me go. You know how at the end of a good horror movie, you're like claps up, bitch.
Yeah, it actually made full circle to the final. Yeah,
bit of blood in the hair, prom queen, because it kind of shows that even though Laurie is an intrinsically good character, he still wanted to be prom queen.
Mm. She had a bit of mongrel in her
prom queen.
She had a bit of mongrel in her.
There's some darkness in there that wanted her, and she's the survivor. She's the prom queen. That would have made it a chef's kiss for me. I would have been like, perfect.
Well, now that you've actually said that, that would have absolutely made sense. Absolutely,
and it would have been a
could have been
payoff.
clubbed in the head,
because that was, or like taken out by a mirror ball, or something like that.
Yeah,
something 80s, something prom related. But I just think that they missed the mark there at the end, and I think in general we could say that for a fair amount of the movie. So, do you want to give us your eye gouging tiaras out of 5?
Okay, how many tiaras, eye gouging tiaras? I'm only going to give it 2 out of 5. And my issue with this movie is there's too much crammed in to a film. And I feel like this was probably something that should have been another 2 or 3-parter. And I feel like too much was happening to the point that I felt lost. And I'm like, I can't keep up with everything that's going on. Like, this one's dead now, that one's dead. Like, oh, there's the mum again. Like, it was a lot. And I did enjoy... At the end of the day,
those deaths didn't really matter either.
No, there was no really, like, the character. There was too many of them for anyone to really matter. And I felt like I didn't mind the twist at the end, but it wasn't an aha either. It was like,
I think, as I said,
they were cunts. So, yeah.
Not to piggyback, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, because what I've heard about it, I was expecting a really bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a badly paced movie. And they're maybe not the best written movie, coming off the back of obviously a very well planned out trilogy of movies where events happened and they had years to film 3 movies concurrent.
Well, I think that's a problem too. We're comparing.
This is a standalone, and we're comparing it against a major. Well, we've got to remember, as I said at the top of the show, those original trilogies were intended to be cinematic releases for Fox. It was going to be 1 a year, and it was going to make sense. I think they could have definitely thinned down the characters. There's nothing wrong with archetypes in a movie like this, because that's
we
what
just
it is.
Don't need them all.
We don't need them all, but and they don't all need to have screen time and a motive and a boyfriend. And like, we can still get away. There's been plenty of slashers that give you a body count without having to convolute the story, because convoluting the story with all that high school stuff made us miss out on the parent stuff, which actually really mattered to the story. If we would have felt the pressure from the parents a bit more,
well, it would have. I feel
it would have rang truer. You know,
it would have made the reveal at the end make a lot more of a aha moment, not the
aha moment. Yeah.
Oh.
And as I said, that last scene, I just feel like we missed a few beats. There's some definite beats that you need to hit in a prom-related slasher that we didn't get, and that bloody prom queen is such a prominent image because of Carrie. You know, we needed to see her with that crown on, blood. It's what the core audience expects to, you know, borrow from Randy. There are boxes you need to tick, and we didn't get near some of the boxes. I think if they would have, because it's a writer-director, I'm pretty sure, if someone else would have had their eyes on it and gone, oh, maybe this. It's not a bad movie. This is the thing. It's coming off the back of 3 very, very, very good movies. And to be the installment that follows, and to be just a slasher, because those other movies were supernatural, they were multi-generational, they were camp movies. As I said, there were so many genres in the horror genre thrown into that trilogy. Everyone got something that they liked out of it. This is an out-and-out 80s prom night kind of slasher moment. And you either like that or you don't.
How many eye-gouging prom queen
I'm going to give it 3.5. It's not horrible. It has some pacing problems. It has some script problems. But it's not horrible. And if you enjoyed the first 3 movies, there is something to enjoy in this. This actually, to me, feels more like a Fear Street book.
Oh, look,
some of them aren't amazing,
like, redeeming moments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of fun in this film. I just feel like it didn't meet the caliber of what was expected. Yeah. It was
But tell me,
there's
a little bit of disappointment. Did you hang around for the mid-credits scene?
No, I bounced.
Maybe you should have. Because...
Well, should I go and have a look?
I can tell you right now.
Well, just tell me.
Huge spoiler. Mid-credits, we go back to find the body of Nancy Falconer with a witch's mark made out of blood next to her head.
Is this linking her back to?
Remember, at the end of the trilogy, that book with the witch's mark goes missing. We see unknown hands grab that book. The witch's mark shows up again at the end of this movie in the mid-credit scene, just like
Nancy,
it did.
Like possessed?
We don't know. There is an over and ever-present evil in Fear Street that we know of. So it alludes to something more coming, right? Because even though this hasn't been received as well as the last ones, R.L. Stine gave an interview last year saying that there are 3 more movies in development. 3 more Fear Street movies. Which movies, we don't know. But there's more
and
story.
Hopefully they learn from some of the mistakes of this one too. Yeah, because this one, as you said, it's not bad. I just felt
it's not a bad movie. It's just not a great... It doesn't run up to, that major Hollywood studio behemoth that you got of a trilogy.
It wasn't as clean as you'd hoped.
Yeah. I would like to see, and I think it might be something they would explore. We've got to remember we had a cheerleader spin-off series in Fear Street that, the cheerleaders were evil. We had a theme park that was evil. We had a house that was haunted. We had so much that there's always something. There's 51 titles in the Fear Street books, and we could go anywhere. So this doesn't dissuade you from wanting more, right?
No, not at all. I think my expectations were probably I wouldn't say unreasonably high, but they were really high because of what we got prior. And this wasn't bad. Like I will agree with you on that. It just wasn't.
It wasn't the last trilogy. It wasn't the last trilogy. But
Yeah.
I think it also comes down to the amount of time we've waited as well. If I was someone at Netflix, knowing how many shows that they're losing, especially if they're losing Stranger Things at the end of this year, they need tentpole things to look forward to bring their audience back. They should be bringing out a Fear Street movie every year around Halloween. It has a built-in audience. Why would you not do that?
And
I don't understand.
I just hear RuPaul's words just going through my head. It's like, step your pussy up and don't be relying on meh.
Don't rely on that body.
Yeah.
You need to rely on the body count. But we have ended our time here on Fear Street. It's the morning after the prom, and we all know that that's a bit of a harsh light of day moment. So the sun's come up on another uncensored horror. Thank you for joining me, Luke. It's been fun to revisit Fear Street, and hopefully we won't be waiting another 3 years for another one.
Real quick though, it makes me wonder, what did Katie get up to at her prom?
That's the real mystery, isn't it?
I think maybe stick around for our next review, because that's going to be definitely a question I'm going to put to her. I don't even care what we're reviewing. We could be reviewing, Rugrats. I'm still asking her, what do you do it?
Well, it could be high school related because, baby, the 4th of July is rolling around very soon. And in Australia, it is the 17th. And on July 17th, we're going fishing again. Julie James and the Fishermen are back on the big screen. So we are a month away from I Know What You Did Last Summer. So break out your raincoats, kids. It could be that kind of time. But until next time, we'll leave Fear Street and leave our high school days behind us. Ciao,
Bitch, fix your crown.